People speaking today, I have a personal relationship with. Tom's one of them. This is Tom Coverdale. When he came into the high school at Noblesville, it was my first year at Noblesville. So when he came in, he played and started for me for 4 years there. When he graduated from Noblesville, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 school records, scored about over 1900 points in high school. One of the toughest competitors I've ever seen come across. The thing about Tom is one of the things I always say is he is one of those people that could lead. Sometimes you wouldn't know because he's not one of the rah-rah guys. But I knew he was leading because I could tell by the way he was talking to. Maybe kind of under his breath or there in the huddle, and all of a sudden things changed because I knew that he was his leadership. A lot quieter than some people. He had a chance to go to Indiana University, play basketball there. In 2002, he was starting point guard. They played the national championship game in the NCAA tournament. This thing that he had a great career in high school, had a great career in college. Ended up scoring over 1,000 points at IU. One of the top 5 guys in assists at IU. The thing that amazed me, I was wrong. I thought he was in the top 5 in steals. I guess we looked it up the other day. I think he ended up 7th, so he slipped a little bit. So this guy here was like number 7 in Indiana University history in steals. Can't believe that.
I used to be in better shape.
But it's a pleasure for to have Tom.
Well, thanks for having me. Obviously, Coach has meant a lot to me in my life. You know, when he first came to Noblesville, I'm freshman, you know, and a lot of you guys in his program, I thought I knew what hard work was. You know, you get into high school, you think you have things figured out. I just want to talk a little bit about certain things that's helped me as far as being a leader, being a good teammate. First of all, just having a thing like this is you guys should feel very lucky because we didn't have anything like this in high school where you had different people coming into you. So take advantage of it. You know, a lot of the things I'm going to talk about is you know, take advantage of different opportunities. Well, this is an opportunity for you. You know, to learn this all day, and I know it's hard to have an attention span for a whole day, but the people that do and listen the whole time and take notes and remember certain things are the ones that are going to succeed. The thing to remember about athletics that I didn't think about in high school was, you know, you're going to carry stuff that you learn in your individual teams with you forever. Because if you think about it, when you get to college, when you get a job after college, when you have a family, those are all different teams that you're a part of. So everything that you're learning through athletics, I always say that's the biggest thing I learned growing up. A lot of the lessons I learned was through athletics. So, you know, I've been fortunate enough to be on a lot of great teams and a couple bad teams, you know. So I've learned, and then after college, I played for 2 years, and then I coached college basketball for 6 years. So I feel like I've seen it from so many different angles throughout my life on what a college coach is for, what, you know, like what the coach said before, you know, what they're looking for, how do you need to act, how to be a good teammate. So I've seen it from a coaching standpoint as well as a player. You know, the first thing that I heard a little bit before is building relationships. You know, it's important when you're in high school and it can get kind of cliquey. You know, to me, you know, a lot of things, people in high school try so hard to be cool, and that is the most ridiculous thing in the world I've ever heard. You know what's cool is all of you being together and winning a sectional or regional championship. And you have a pep rally at the school, or you go to play in a semi-state and the whole town's there because you were a good teammate and everybody got along. Not, I'm going to go to this event like we talked about before, and I only want 5 of my teammates to come. I don't really know, or I don't have the same interest as 2 or 3 of them, so I'm not going to invite them. You know, how do you think that's going to be when you get in a tight situation in a game and one of the 2 or 3 people that you didn't invite, you pass them the ball, or what, do you think you're together as a team, or you're looked at as a good leader? So I used to do that all the time in college. Whenever we got together, you know, or had a get together at a house, if I got there and I saw someone wasn't invited, I called them right away and said, hey, we're all over here. And that's just a simple thing you can do as a leader. Everybody has to feel included, or your team's going nowhere. We talk a lot about team chemistry, okay? It's the most important thing. It just takes 1 or 2 people on a team to derail it. And perfect example when I was in college, okay? You know, it was my sophomore year. We had one kid that no one really got along with, okay? It just takes 1 or 2 kids, even if you're the number 1 on the list or number 12 on the list, or how many people on your team to derail everything. So my challenge to you is do not be that teammate. Okay, so what is that teammate? It's someone that doesn't work hard. How are you a good teammate? Well, you work extremely hard every single time. You build relationships, okay? You have preparation, okay? If I come in to a game and I know mentally the day before I shot 300 threes after practice, and then I catch the ball on the wing wide open during the game, mentally in my mind, do you think you're going to hit it or not? You know, a mental edge where if I went straight home after practice, I had taken 1 extra shot. Mentally, you know, you're not going to hit the shot, or you're not going to get that hit, or you're not going to get an ace in a serve. So preparation is more for you mentally as an individual and doing your job as a teammate. That's being a good teammate, is preparing the right way. Another thing is to not be selfish. And a lot of you are probably thinking right now, selfish means shooting the ball every time, or wanting the ball as a receiver every single time. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about selfish in your preparation. If you come out, and I'm going to use basketball as an example just because that's what I played. If I came out and we won a game barely, and I went 2 for 10 from the free throw line, next day at practice I come in, I leave right after practice, and I don't shoot 100 free throws right after practice, showing my teammates that, hey, I know I messed up and I'm going to get better at it. That's called silent leadership. It's not like you're going over to a teammate and saying, hey, I know I messed up, I'm going to do this or do that. You just do it by showing. You know, if you come into a game, you go 2 for 10 from the 3-point line, you don't take extra shots, is your teammate going to have confidence in passing you the ball in a tight situation? That's part of being a good teammate. You know, a lot of people say the best player on a team doesn't have to work hard, and again, that's one of the most ridiculous things in the world. Oh, he's more talented, he doesn't have to work as hard as us. The year we went to the championship game, our best player's name was Jared Jeffries. He played in the NBA for a long time. I'll never forget when he first came in as a freshman and we started conditioning, he was working harder than almost everyone there, right along with a lot of the other people, okay? So then you fast forward to my senior year, we have a couple freshmen that come in and didn't work hard at all. And then they wouldn't play defense, they wouldn't pay attention, they didn't know the plays. So that's the year our team chemistry was not right. So us as leaders, we're trying to do this, we're trying to do that, we're trying to do all the right things, but again, 1 or 2 people derailed it for a whole team. That's why the team game and learning these philosophies is so important in life. So again, do not be that one person, 1 or 2, you know, don't be that person on your team. I heard a great quote one time that stuck with me. Excuse me. Pressure only comes up when you're not prepared. So think about that for a second. If you think about the great players or whatever, they don't feel pressure. It's an opportunity. And it goes back to the same thing. If you're up, bases loaded, sectional championship, and you go up there and you haven't taken extra batting practice in over 2 weeks, you're going to feel pressure. But if you put in the work, you know exactly what you're doing. You know what that pitcher likes to do. You put in the preparation. It's the last game, one-on-one. They go 1-4 flat. I'm guarding their best player. I did my preparation. I know exactly which way he wants to go. That's no pressure guarding that because of preparation. So that's why it's so important. Another thing that kind of goes into that I've thought about, and I want to tell Coach Mack's story, and this is kind of the first time I realized this as a player on never taking any days off. I think that was my junior year of high school. I thought I was having a really good year. I think I was averaging like 23 points a game. We go to practice. We had a first 5 and a second 5. For the first time all year since really, beginning of my freshman year, I'm on the second 5. He didn't say anything to me, and I'm just wondering, what did I do? I go home that night, my dad, I tell him, I don't think I'm starting tomorrow. He's like, well, what'd you do? And I know to coaches, that's probably a big difference from what you hear from parents these days. But my dad understood and believed in Coach and knew the leader he was. He's like, well, he must have a reason. You got to figure it out. So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, so the next day at school, I go up to Coach and I said, Coach, am I starting tonight? He said, no. I said, do you know why? And I said, can I know why? And he said, well, you're averaging 23 points a game. You should be averaging 28, and I'm sick of it. And I'm sitting there thinking as a junior in high school, like, what is he talking about? And then we got into a whole big conversation. He's like, do you realize you play about 2 or 3 possessions in a row, then you take 2 possessions off. Then you play 3 in a row and you dominate, and then you take 2 possessions off. So I went to that game. Obviously, I didn't have a very good game because I was thinking about all this stuff. We still won. He came up to me after the game. He said, are you ready to play hard every single possession? And from that point on, I kind of had a fear inside of me to take plays off. And that's something, a lesson he taught me as a young person that you guys should just think about now. Have that fear inside of you of letting your teammates or your coaches down by taking 1 second off, whether it's preparation or a game. A good example of this, and the people right now are probably thinking, well, it's hard to do every game or every practice or whatever. Well, it's just practice. Well, I want you to think about this, okay? How many of you have gone to a practice in high school or whatever, after school, you're like, man, I've had the longest day. I just want to get through this practice. I mean, everyone's been there, okay? So mentally, if you can push through that practice and still get better during those 2 hours, that's what makes your team go from a good team to a great team. And you can't do it alone. I had a teammate of mine in high school. My sophomore year, we made it to regional championship and lost. So my junior year, his senior year, his name was Todd Lawson. We always had a thing before practice that we knew. I'd go up to him and be like, man, I'm not feeling it today. You need to pick me up. And that's all we had to say. He pushed me the rest of the day, and we didn't take a practice off because we knew we wanted to get and win a regional and go as far as we could in the tournament. So think about this. It's a mindset. If you allow yourself to take 1 day off, you think it's okay in the future. So it's not just in your mind, you're thinking, oh, it's just 1 practice. It's no big deal. Well, think about this. If you practice 6 days a week for your sport, if you get into the habit of that, mentally and fact-driven, it's probably you're going to take off 3 days out of the week. So you have 3 days out of the week that you could get those 2 hours back. Let's just call it 2 hours, 52 weeks or whatever. That's 312 hours a year that you've taken off that you didn't make your team or yourself better. So when you think about if you did something for 312 straight hours, how much better would you be? Whether it's free throws, serving, hitting a ball, whatever. And that's what you're doing is giving up those hours that you can't get back as an individual or a teammate moving forward. So no, it's not, oh, it's just one practice. That's ridiculous. It's a mindset you're trying to give yourself moving forward. If you take one day off, I promise it's gonna go to 2 days a week and then eventually 3 days a week. Everybody can practice when they're into it, they're excited. It's the day before a big game or whatever. But when it's in the summertime and you don't want to do it, but you push through it, and you see one of your teammates down, hey, come on, let's get through this, let's work, let's get better. That's not being not cool, that's wanting to win and being a good teammate. And you can't do that alone. You know, have 2 or 3 people on your team that hold you accountable so that you're not taking a day off. Again, it goes back to not being a selfish teammate, right? You take a day off, you get that mindset, it continues to go forward. You know, you're losing what you need to do. Then getting into kind of leadership aspects and what I think is a good leader, okay? If you come into a situation, you come into the first day of practice and you're just like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, let's do this, why aren't you doing this? Is that effective? No. You've got to prove yourself to be a leader. You've got to show more than talk, in my opinion. That's called silent leadership. You've got to earn trust from your people. So how do you do that? Everybody says that. How do you do it? You work harder or just as hard as everyone else. If you don't do that, your teammates aren't going to respect you and you can never be a leader. Another thing is leadership is not a title or a position. You don't have to be the best player on your team or the quarterback or the point guard or even the coach for that matter to be a leader. You have to show it. I mean, I've been on plenty of teams where the best player wasn't a leader just because everybody has to respect you to be the leader. It has nothing to do with the title. Okay? You have to have knowledge. You have to have preparation. You have to know all the plays. You have to do stuff extra. You have to put in extra time. You have to lead by example. Again, you're putting in extra work. You're dragging other people along. You're making sure everybody on the team feels involved, whether it's the first man on the team down to the 12th or 13th. The other thing, and the last two, which is probably the most important thing, is kind of doing things the right way all the time. Everybody knows you're in the locker room by yourself as teammates. If you're sitting there bad-mouthing someone else in front of your teammate, or you're not being honest about something, you're telling lies, whether they say it to you right then or not, when that stuff comes up, are they going to look at you as a leader when you try to be a leader? So a leader is hard work, honest with their teammates and themselves. If you do all those things, when it comes to a crunch time and you come through adversity, you can get in the huddle and say, hey, you need to do this, this, and this. And they're not going to look at you and be like, what are you talking about? You don't work hard. You don't even know our plays. So leadership is more action than it is talking. And I think that's an important thing to know. One of my other favorite quotes that I love and on how to get there and how to motivate yourself is, to get to where you've never gone before, you have to do something you've never done. And I love that quote, and that applies to everything. To get to where you've never gone before, you have to do something you've never done. If you think you're going to sit there and do the same amount of reps, or say, I've never worked, I want to be good dribbling with my left hand. I want to be a better shooter. I want to be a better hitter. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen, obviously, if you're not good at that point at it. You can't keep doing the same thing because you're not good at it for a reason. So you have to continue to get better at different stuff and continue to work on stuff, especially in the off season, that you're not as good at. It's not going to happen overnight. So again, the biggest thing that you can learn from life lessons that I use every day is that kind of recap a lot of the stuff that I've gone over is, never take a day off or allow yourself to take a day off. It is hard. It's probably the hardest thing you'll do as an athlete. But if you can mentally get over that hurdle of not taking time off, again, think back of 1 day, 2 hours, not a big deal. You get in the habit of doing it. 312 hours in a whole year, it's a big deal. It's a mindset. So get through that hurdle of mentally taking time off in your practices, in your games. Practices are what makes fun, games fun, because you're better, you're prepared, and that's what makes you good. And be a good teammate, have everybody involved. Don't talk about it, show them. Be a leader. Okay? And the last thing that I think is very important that I've done every year of my life, I still do it even in the work environment now, is you have to set goals for yourself every single year. If you don't set goals, you're never going to reach them. So if my goal my junior year was to make it to the NCAA tournament, would I have reached the national championship game as a team? No. You have to set your goals extremely high. I always like to set my goals to the point where one of my brothers or somebody would look at it and say, that's ridiculous, you can't do that. But if you don't set it right here, you're never going to come up short right here. You set your goals right here, you may get right here, but you're not even close to this part right here. So I always set 3 individual goals for every year and 3 team goals. And set them extremely high. You don't, like I said, if you don't set them high, you have no chance of reaching them. So, like I said again, hard work is contagious, and I'll just leave you with one more story. Excuse me, getting over a cold. But the last thing is when my freshman year was Coach Knight's last year at IU. So he got let go after my freshman year. Our new coach's name was Mike Davis. I'll never forget this. The first day after the press conference, he comes in, he just says, I'll see you guys at 5:30. And somebody, I think, said in the afternoon or morning, he said morning and walked out. So we get in the locker room, we go over for our conditioning workout. It's preseason, and it was by far the hardest workout I've ever done in my career. Okay, so what was he doing? He wanted to see, first of all, set a tone that it's not going to ease up without Coach Knight. Secondly, he wanted to see who was on board with him. So 7 people out of the 14, it was so hard, finished the workout. The rest were either hurt a hamstring or were throwing up or doing whatever and went out. So those 7 people, one was a walk-on, who just worked extremely hard. The other 6, when we went to the national championship game, they were the starting 5 and the 6th man. So what's that tell you? What's that tell you about mental toughness and being part of a really good team? So he knew the people he could rely on when you hit adversity. That same year, we had gone through that. We played a team in the Sweet 16, and we played Duke, who had been ranked #1 all year. Their starting 5, who all played in the NBA, if you'll remember them, Carlos Boozer, Mike Dunleavy, Dante Jones, Jason Williams, and Chris Duhon. I don't know if they're too young to remember that or not. But we were down 17 points in the first half. But there was never one doubt we couldn't come back because of everything we had done as a team in preparation and all the hard work we had put in and how close we were together. So if you don't put in the preparation and you aren't a good teammate, and that all of this stuff comes back to what we talked about right before I came up here is culture. That's how you get a good culture as a team, is not having one bad person. So again, to end it with, do not be that one person. All right, so good luck to all of you. I appreciate you letting me come in. And good luck.
Good job.